These are the lesson 15.4 notes from the Advanced 1 book on the percent equation. In the last set of notes, you looked at solving percent problems using the percent proportion. The percent equation is another way to solve percent problems. They are both excellent strategies. Depending on the type of problem, sometimes one is easier, sometimes the other is easier. Sometimes you just like one method better. So I'll teach you both methods, and then you may choose whichever one you like best. When I was in school, this is the way I was taught, and so it's the one that I am most comfortable with. But after teaching both, I find that sometimes the percent proportion is the one I go to. So they're both good. The words that go with the percent equation say to represent A is a percent of W, you use an equation. Your equation will be A is the part of the whole, P is the percent. This is important. It needs to be in fraction or decimal form. We usually write it as a decimal. And W is the whole. And then changing that into numbers, you would say 15 is 0.5 or 5/10 of 30 multiplied by 30. Right? Essentially, you are going to change the problem into a math sentence or equation and solve. Okay? And some little tricks to help. We know that the word is, you see the word is, that's going to be the equals. And if you see the word of, that's going to be to multiply. That could be a little bit confusing just because in the last set of notes we did the percent proportion and we used is over of to be part over whole. And this is just different. You've heard of means multiply for years. So that's what we're going back to, that of means to multiply, and that is where you put the equal sign. Right? So in this first example, what number is 24% of 50? Right, so I'm just going to change that into a math sentence or an equation. So what number, that's the thing I'm trying to find, so that's N, is my equals. 24%, this is a trick from the last, or different from the last time. You must write your percent either as a fraction or as a decimal. I'm going to write it as a decimal because it's not an easy fraction to work with. Of means to multiply. I'm going to multiply that by 50. Right? And then I can just grab my calculator and I can do 0.24 times 50 equals 12. 12 is 24% of 50. That makes sense because 24 is close to 25, so it should be about a fourth of it. And a fourth of 50 is like 12 and a half. So that's a good answer. Okay. You have two U-tries that are identical. And when I see a problem like that's set up like this, where I'm finding the part of a number, this is so easy to solve with an equation because there's the thing I'm trying to find, and here is the percent times the number. So it's right there. I can just punch into my calculator or maybe even do in my head 0.10 times 20. 1.5, remember that 150% is 1.5 times 40. All right? So very straightforward. I almost always do these problems as a percent equation rather than the percent proportion. But you can use the equation to solve other kinds of problems too. So if I'm trying to find the percent, just writing it as a sentence, 9.5. I know that is means equals. I'm trying to find a percent, so that's my variable. If you want to, that won't be tricky. I don't know if putting the percent sign in there is a good idea. Of 25, know that of means to multiply. Okay, and then divide both sides by 25. You're solving for n. N equals 9.5 divided by 25 equals 0.38. And that is another thing that you have to be careful of, because it asks for a percent. So it gives you a decimal as your answer, and you're going to have to move it 2 places over. So n is equal to 38%. Right? So you have to actually read the problem and make sure that you finish the problem. Is it asking you for the number? If it asks for the number, then the answer you get will be the answer. If it asks you for a percent, you have to go ahead and change that number into a percent. Okay? And you have 2 of those. So that was finding the percent. And then you can do finding the whole the same way. 39 is 52% of what number? 39 is equals 52%. Remember, you have to write it either as a fraction or as a decimal. Of what number? So we need a variable there. I'm going to divide both sides by the percent. And 39 divided by 0.52 is equal to 75. This time I'm finding a number, so I leave it as 75. I'm not moving a decimal to change it into a percent. And let's see if that makes sense. 39 is 52% of what number? Well, 52%, that's a little over half, is 39, a little over half of 75. 39 and 39, I believe that is 78. So yeah, it'd be a little over half of 75. Right. And then you have a real life application. And we have a ticket like from the 8th Street Cafe, where you have ordered $27.50 worth of food. You have $1.65 in tax and a total of $29.15. And the first question asks, find the percent of sales tax on the food total. So we're maybe going to do this in 2 steps. Let's see. I want to find, what percent of, the food total is $27.50. So what percent of $27.50 is $1.65? So when you're reading a word problem, the first step is just to read that through a couple of times and think about what it's asking you, and then try to write it simply so that you can then turn that simple sentence into an equation. Let's check and make sure that makes sense. Find the percent of sales tax on the food total. So here's the sales tax. So I want to know what percent that is of the whole thing. What percent is $1.65 of this whole $27.50? I think that's right. What percent? Do you want to use P? Of means multiply. 27.50 equals 165. So now I need to divide both sides of 27.50. And as well, I'll do the P. I'll take $1.65 and divide by 27.50, and that equals 0.06. But remember that I'm looking for a percent, so I'm going to move it. To change a percent, I use my decimal into a percent. I have to move it 2 places to the right. That is 6%. Is 6% a reasonable amount of tax? Yes, it is. In California or in Livermore, we pay more than that. We pay closer to 10%, but 6% is a reasonable amount most places. All right, find the percent of sales tax on the food. Find the percent on, is that the same problem? Find the percent of sales tax on food total. Well, isn't that nice? That's a little error. I will fix that before I attach the notes, so you won't even see that. Okay, then your question, your follow-up, you try. What if, find the amount of a 20% tip on the food total. So now you are finding 20% of the food total, $27.50, is how much, right? And that's an easy one to set up. All right, thank you.